Hey everybody, so this video is going to cover how to conduct a teacher-directed sort. This is what you'll do with the students the first day of word study. Now you might have a different set of slides depending on the group of students that you are working with. One of you will have this particular slide, but they all follow the same pattern. Before we begin, I do want to apologize for the loud dings that are going to interrupt this video. Uh, but because I'm working on my MacBook, which is hooked up to my iPhone, somebody decided to text me a bunch of times in a row while I was recording. So my apologies for that. It worked well the first time, so I didn't want to go back and re-record the entire thing. So those dings will stop shortly after they begin. Let's go ahead and take a look at the teacher-directed sort. So you'll see first this slide, and what you'll start every time when you do a first lesson with word study is you're going to start by pronouncing the words. Now, so you have the slides here, all three of these, and at the bottom you have essentially what is a script. Now, what I've done when I am teaching this is I take this out and I place it in another program. Could be a Word document. I use a Microsoft OneNote right here. Doesn't really matter what it is. If you have two screens, you can move that over to the other screen so the kids can't see that script, but you can make sure that you're covering everything. Now, I understand not everybody has two monitors. If you could put it on a phone though, that works just as well. A tablet, really any kind of digital resource you have that you can put text on. That tends to help these move along pretty swiftly and effectively. So everything that is not bracketed, so this here, would be what I would say to the kids. And you would start by pronouncing the words. If you have a group of 3 students, you could take one row, pronounce these words out loud, and then have each student take a group of these words and say these out loud. And that does a couple things. What you want from this is you want the students to see what the patterns of the words are so that they can arrive at the generalization at the end of this and understand what that generalization means. That way, once they fully understand that and they've practiced with these words enough times, this will help them when they see words that they don't know to be able to spell, decode, pronounce those words. So you're going to follow this script essentially that I've typed up. Deviate it if you would like, but the core essentials are there. And anything that is in brackets is just what you should do. It's not what you should say. Most of the time it's capitalized, but it's not always capitalized. So just keep that in mind. So take note if the words are too difficult for the students. These should be pretty much tailor-made to them based on what they did at the beginning of the year with the spelling inventories, but if they really struggle with the words, or if one of them really struggles with the words, that student might not be placed correctly. So we would want to know that as soon as possible. So these are all jumbled up. These are not sorted by pattern, but the goal of this is to get the kids to arrive at what the pattern is, what sounds the same. You're guiding the students toward the vowel sounds in this case. And you also want to point out any oddballs, and the oddball in this set is they. It's got that E there, but it still makes that A sound, that long A. Then you're moving into the sort. And you'll notice on the right side of the sort here, and this will typically be the case, these are the headers for each column. Now each column, let me add this underline and this bold here, each column contains an example for the header. So they can base what they're putting into each column on that header. This also helps if they are not talking out loud. They can type in the chat what word it should go under, or they could just say, okay, that should go under nail. So if you say, all right, snail, where should this one go? And they type in nail, or they say snail, you move it here. Ideally, if you were in person, the students would be doing this sorting. Now, what you can do is you could share this with them. So you could open this up, and I always forget to do this, but change the link to Loudoun County Public Schools and make sure that they are able to edit the document. And you can copy the link and you can share that with them in the chat, and then they can open this up and they can move those words where they want them to go. You'll have to direct them a little bit because if it's a free-for-all, then what they would be doing is they might be grabbing each other's words and moving those around. So you could say, okay, student 1, you're in charge of this column, or student 2, you're in charge of this column, student 3, you're in charge of this column, or just call out individual words and have them move them. There is an online program for this. We just got access to it. So it'll be a little different in the future, but for now, um, I want you to familiarize yourselves with the kind of this method of this. So the idea here is they're sorting, they're putting them where they think they should go, and you're seeing if they can figure out what the pattern is without directly telling them what the pattern is. So you would ask questions like clarifying questions like how are the words in each column alike? How are they different? And for this one in particular, you'll want to eventually say, okay, now that we figured it out, we're going to drag these to the correct column and put these up top. You'll want to make sure that they know what these things mean. So consonant, vowel, consonant, words with a short A, consonant, vowel, consonant, ending with a silent E, and that makes the long A sound. Pretty much, and the generalization you're looking for here are the short A sounds and how they are spelled differently depending on what they are. So trade is spelled differently because it has that silent E at the end of it. It just has that A. Whereas you have words like the CVVC words, consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant, and those ones you're going to take and you're going to drag over here. And those are the ones that make the nail sound. You have the two vowels in there in the middle. So you want to finish with those pattern headers. Essentially, though, all you're doing, if you get confused or the students get confused, you just always back up here. Everything that you're going to do that's in this script is going to be in order. Really, what this is for, it's not a scripted program, but if you're not familiar with it, I find that it helps to have these before you can kind of just go off with it on your own. So you'll sort those at least one time. And you'll notice down here it says resort immediately if time allows. Depending on how much time you have allotted, you can do this. And I want this to be designed in a way that it can be as short or as long as you need. After the first day, it should be pretty quick. You'll be moving in different types of sorts, and I'll follow up with you on that one. But this is the initial teacher-directed sort, and you're ending with this generalization. So short A is always spelled with one vowel, but long A can be spelled in a variety of patterns. A-E, or A and then ending with the silent E, A-I, and A-Y. Long A at the end of the word is usually spelled A-Y. That's the generalization you want to arrive at, usually the first day. Again, if you have time, I like them to spell this generalization or write this generalization into a notebook. And I also like them to, once everything is sorted, write these words down. But this does not have to happen the first day. I just find that it's helpful to get that down the first day that they do this. So that is essentially it. Again, if this seems confusing, you're just going to start by presenting the first slide and then working your way through this script. And again, this is what you can read word for word. Anything in brackets is just what you should be doing, and then work your way towards that generalization. You might have different words than these with your particular set of students, but it's always going to follow this